Hi everyone, I'm super excited to host Noa Ouziel. She's co-founder of Arbel AI. Thanks a lot for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I'm excited to be here.
So take us back to the Intel days before you started thinking about building in this space. Like, what were some career highlights you'd like to share?
So Intel was actually my last stop right before this. I had a long career before that as well. Usually people are at Intel for like 25 years. No, I was there for like a few. So actually I studied industrial engineering and management. And then my first job was manufacturing operations. So I spent 5 years with new products and mass production and flying back and forth to Southeast Asia to production lines and the crazy job. And after doing that for 5 years in a corporate, I really wanted to go to a different domain. And I went to cybersecurity and I went to being customer facing and at a startup with 3 people. So I was employee number 2 and totally different kind of everything because I wanted to try that out. And I already knew I want to be in the startup world. So I did that for 5 years. I did all of the business side of that company. And then after 5 years there, I actually went to Intel, and then I did product marketing for Intel. And then being a product marketing at Intel, I found that Intel's great, but for me, kind of like a narrow corporate job is not really the right place to be. And I really quickly found myself inside the Intel incubator, and which is a program inside Intel that lets employees come with big ideas and go through an incubation program to make those ideas into a reality. And that's where I was assigned as a mentor to our team. So that's kind of how we got into Intel. And then what happened is that I was assigned as a mentor to a team of 3 guys that were doing construction tech. Spoiler alert, those are actually my co-founders today. And we were the only team out of 8 finalists to complete the incubation successfully and receive funding from Intel to set up a team inside Intel to work on construction tech. And one of those 3 co-founders is actually a civil engineer, which is why we're all doing construction tech actually. I hadn't had any background in it, but I have to say I keep loving it more and more every day. And so one's a civil engineer, one is a CTO, a software engineer, and we have a PhD in computer vision and AI. So eventually Intel was building chip fabs like crazy during that time, very, a massive vision of building 10 of those throughout 10 years. And they needed solutions for outdoor progress tracking and safety. And they asked us to do that. And that's kind of how we got into the whole space of building, supporting the building of big, big things and the complexities of that.
That's quite a journey. Uh, I'm curious to know if looking back, what are some lessons you learned the hard way?
So much. I think each place, each stop in your career, you learn something and you take something with you. So, working at a corporate initially, I think the hardest lesson I learned was boundaries. When I was working at that corporate, I was very young. I didn't have any kids yet. And I was like all work. Like I would go and work like 12-hour days and still feel I'm not getting anything done. And that has a toll on on everything, on your mental health, on your physical health, on your relationships. And after I left that, I made a decision, a very deliberate decision to live with very strict boundaries. And that being able to be very career focused with strict boundaries into my personal life means that you have to be very, very focused and and prioritize constantly. So I've been taking that with me since then, right? And that goes into today as a company. We're also very minded towards personal boundaries, and that means we have to be ultra focused and prioritize, which is exactly what you need to be as an early stage startup, right? Or as a good company, you have to stay focused. So that really helps us, I think, today in what we're doing now. That would be, I think, the strongest learning I've had. And then, some practical learnings from building a startup from the ground up as a second employee, right? I pretty much learned everything I know from that. And I think, so much from investor relationships and sales and how to build a team and yeah, endless stuff.
Right? And if you were to take us to the early days of Arbel, like walk us how that phase looked like, how were you navigating?
So when we left Intel and that happened, so Intel decided that they don't need a construction tech team, which I fully understand. They're a semiconductor company. I mean, good decision to decide to close down the construction tech team. And we went out and, had to decide what we're going to do now. And we started, looking at that Intel problem that we learned and started seeing, is that Intel problem a global problem or is it different? That was kind of like the start. And we found out that the Intel problem is not exactly aligned to what's going on in the global market, right? Other different companies have different needs. And we just started doing market validation for months on that problem. And it was really one customer meeting that kind of helped us super understand and be very laser focused on what we actually need to solve. And we were sitting with 3 CTOs of a construction company, showing them, our vision, and they're like, nah, that's not really interesting. And then just one feature we were talking about, suddenly their eyes lit up, and they were like, hey, that's cool. We don't have that. And so without going into what we do, but it was talking about automating the ability to understand large scale outdoor construction projects versus doing it manually or visually. And at that point, actually the train ride home from there was, we went from, there's nothing here, we're not going to be able to do anything, to, wow, we finally understand what it is we need to do. And so we took those learnings from Intel as to what the space is, what the market is, how solutions are being built today, and then understanding the actual market with all the learnings of what not to do, we went off and decided what we are going to do.
And as an outsider, like, how is your journey of learning all the nitty gritty about construction? What are some tips you can share?
So first of all, I love construction. It's so much fun. I knew when I wanted to be a founder, when it was clear to me that's what I need to be doing, it has to be something that makes a real impact in the world. Like, I was not willing to do something that would just be, another fluff or something, and really important to me. So first of all, I love that construction is real and that you can see the fruits of your labor in reality. Amazing. I think what's really stands out to me in construction is that everyone is really a no nonsense kind of person. There's no room for things that don't bring immediate value in the best way for them. Like, almost as if you're looking at consumer products, right? When you think about consumer products, they have to be super intuitive. So construction, I feel that even though it is technically B2B sales, you're actually designing it as a B2C product, because the people that are using it need to be able to use it with any training, any skill level, any background, any language, and anywhere in the world theoretically. And that's really a consumer kind of design approach. So I think that is a strong tip I would give.
What has been your proudest moment till date in Arbel's journey?
Wow, that's a hard one. There's a lot. There's a lot of proud moments. I think when we raised our first round, I think that was the first kind of external validation we had to what we're doing, right? For someone else to say, this is valuable. We see that the team is a good team. You are capable. We believe in you. And I think that was like a moment I will never forget. I received the news when I was at a birthday party for one of my kids' friends. And I went out and I recorded a video and sent it to my team from like a playground outside. So it was like a very exciting moment. And I think the second one, if I can give two, was the first time we were at I was with the customer like discovery meeting, and I didn't feel it was like a very good meeting or anything. But then 3 days later, someone called me from that meeting and he said, I was in a meeting right now and I was asked a question, and all I could think about that is, if I had your product, I would be able to answer that question. And that is like, again, it's just seeing how valuable what we're doing is to someone and that it makes sense to them. That was, yeah, very exciting.
Any fundraising lessons you could share?
Yeah, for sure. So I think most of my fundraising lessons I learned when I worked at a startup. So the previous one, because even though I was employee number 2, I led a lot of the fundraising processes there. So a few things I think is, first of all, it's a relationship. It is not a one-sided deal where the funds or the VCs have the money and you have the ask. No, it's a relationship that you need to build, and you need to find the right people for you and they need to find the right people for them. And like, almost like dating, right? You have to see what's right and what's wrong and only go with what's right for everyone. That's super important. And become prepared. When I go into fundraising, if I don't think I'm going to raise money, I'm not going to go. So if I don't have my ducks in a row, right, I don't have the right collateral, I don't have the right evidence, I'm missing something in a checklist that I think is the mandatory, what are those 3, 4, 5 things we need to have in order to be very fundable? Not like minor successfully, but very fundable, as in great traction, great story, great team, great evidence, great vision, right? And all those things are not just in headlines, but in details. So, for example, we want to have at least one paid pilot to go to pre-seed, right? We want to have an MVP working. We want the very detailed things. And then only when we have those things, then do I even go starting that, process. And because the discussion with the investors is not there to help me define what I need. It is
Mm,
there to achieve an outcome. And so I have to come prepared, if that makes sense.
I see. How does a week in your life look like?
So, like I said, boundaries are really important to me. So we are very, we plan actually. So within the company, we have two days where we work longer hours, and everyone knows those are the days that you're not, leaving to take your kids or scheduling any other activities. So we have 2 days of those. My week starts on Sunday morning because here in Israel we work Sunday through Thursday. So Sunday 6 a.m. I have like a class, like a fitness class, and then yeah, I do long days twice a week. I do shorter days where I pick up my kids between twice and 3 times a week, 1 day working from home. And then, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights, 8 p.m. forward are my US schedule nights, right? So all of my conversations that I have with the US happen 8 p.m. towards like 12, like midnight to be aligned to their schedule. That's why I do gym classes at 6 a.m. It's the only time it's the only time in my schedule I can get it in. Yeah, and so, family time is sacred. I really try to not work at all while I'm with my family, and I try to get the weekends, like, totally blank. Like, I prefer to work really late nights, but then be fully attentive to my family, Friday, Saturday, which is our weekends. Yeah, that's it.
Nice. And how would you describe the culture of the company?
It's fun to build a culture. Also, kind of, it's not like day one, but it's you build it, right? It takes time to really like focus. But I think I'm going to go back to boundaries, priority, and focus. So we try to be quick about changing focus, or not changing, but focusing the focus. I would say, like, all the time we keep on checking ourselves, meeting to chat about it. Try not to do that too much because it's, we should be working on developing things and not just chatting, but at least once a week, once every 2 weeks, we do that discussion where are we aligned? Are we focused properly? Is that it? We're super friendly with each other. We like each other. I mean, we only hire people that we would want to work with. So everyone is very nice. We're actually very diverse in terms of backgrounds and ages and, family status and interests. But we really try to keep our lunches friendly, and we do happy hours with games once a week. So we really try to get that kind of build that friendship while staying very focused on our work within work hours. So we enable each other to have our own personal lives. But if you ask me that question in a year, I'll probably have more to say about that culture.
Hmm. For someone listening, and if they want to consider testing Arbel or reaching out to you, what's a good time, project type, and stage to consider using Arbel?
So I think that our uniqueness is really the types of projects we focus on. I mean, the domain we're in is automated progress, quality, material safety, equipment tracking of sites, insights, analytics, right? That's kind of generic, as in there's a lot of companies that probably have those words in their, descriptions. However, the uniqueness really is the types of projects that we focus on, which is the largest, most complex projects that are being built today. Or in other words, projects that are too vast to watch, too difficult to comprehend when you have years long, hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars in budget and multiple stakeholders, thousands of people working on them. So we're talking about highways and rails and light rails, oil and gas lines, could be theme parks, could be, huge new residential development, could be, mega data centers. The big projects, horizontal, outdoor, those are the ones that we support and we bring the most value to. And I think the first thing that people need to ask themselves before they approach to us is, do they understand or do they think there is a need to capture and analyze what's going on that large site? If they're happy with the state as it is and they don't yet think they need to do any drone capturing of what's going on because, they don't feel the need for documentation or for, the ability to monitor, that's great. I just think they should check in with us in a year when they reach the decision that to do that, to do the capture. But for companies that are already capturing data and have piles and piles of drone images stored away in a SharePoint, they're not being addressed and just, not giving them value, that's the type of companies that should be approaching us to get value for their projects.
And what does the onboarding process looks like for those? company?
So without going into a lot of detail, I'll just say if you have drone images, that's pretty much all you need for onboarding. And if you don't have drone images, then you can just take a scan and send and have drone images, and then that's all you need for onboarding. I mean, it's a matter of minutes to hours to onboard a new project.
What's the best way to reach out to you or the team?
Well, I'm super responsive on LinkedIn. Also email. Yeah, just shoot me an email. I guess my email will be in the notes somewhere, but also LinkedIn. I'm very responsive. I never forget to answer. So that is the best way.
We will do a rapid fire where you have less
Sure.
than 5 seconds to answer and you gotta keep it super brief.
I'll try.
What's your favorite restaurant?
So, I don't know, falafel,
Favorite movie?
The Princess Bride.
It's one piece of advice you would give to 18-year-old Noah.
You can do anything you want to do, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise.
3 words your co-founder would describe you as.
Bossy, enthusiastic, and I don't know, optimistic.
A city or country which is in your travel bucket list.
Costa Rica.
Your role model.
I guess my parents, my grandparents.
If you get a magic wand and you can do anything in construction tech to increase tech adoption, what would you do?
Wow, that's a big one. I think I would just let people try. Give them solutions, tell them you have a week to try out different solutions and see what sticks, right? See what you love. Give yourself the ability to take that step with no risk. Just let it, go for it and see what you like, what works for you, and what brings value.
Awesome. Noah, anything which we didn't cover in this interview and you would like to end on that closing note?
I think for me, the founder journey has been a really long one. My career has been like 15, 20 years if you include some other stuff in it. And it took me a long time to feel like I was ready for this. Actually, I think I went into it very ready. Like I could have gone into it even earlier and I would still be ready for this journey. But eventually at some point it was just too big to ignore that this is the right thing for me to be doing right now. And I feel that every day. I love my job and I'm so happy I took the step to here. So
Let's go. Thank
thank
you
you.
for sharing your journey and story.
Thank you so much for having me. And we can chat again in a year.
Definitely.